Welcome to another Easy Drawings for Beginners video. My name is Taylor Payton of thebeginnerdrawingcourse.com, and I'm going to be narrating this video as we go through and draw some more simplified round shapes and begin to draw through the forms. So if you're just starting out with drawing, or if you've not done exercises like this wherein you take something representational and just try to get your line work down, try to get your draftsmanship down, it's really useful for finding more confidence in your lines. Now, I won't say not to correct things, not to erase and to redraw certain aspects or elements. I think that is important as well, just so that you don't feel bad every time you make a mistake and feel like every single line has to be perfect. It's really just about getting yourself to draw these various shapes, and in this case, the rounder shapes, with a reasonable degree of confidence and knowing that you can always correct the aspects and elements that don't really please you. Like in this case, I drew this sort of oddly shaped oblong thing and I just got rid of it entirely. It's more about just finding a better tempo for the kind of drawing or line work you want to be doing. In this case, the lines are fairly thin, so you really have not much else but the lines to look at. One thing about practice, about getting yourself into these different modalities of practice as a beginner artist, is to try different things. Try this with thicker lines, try this with thinner lines, but only change one or two things at a time, especially as you're drawing these rounded forms, which are some of the most interesting and sometimes difficult forms to draw. As you go through and create things like little capsules or fruits or balloons or balls or what have you, it's really important to try and keep the forms as regular as you can. Even if you're only doing like a one line attempt or a 2-3 line attempt, wherein you're just going and doing it without lifting your hand from the actual surface plane, whether that is a tablet or an iPad or a Cintiq or a sketchbook, whatever you want to do these exercises in. It really will help to foster more of a comfort level, of a confidence level. So what you're seeing me do now is going back through and drawing through the forms. I'm also drawing some more coin-like shapes, which are just there to teach you how to add thickness to your other forms, even if you're not drawing all the way through them. So adding thickness is really important and a really important concept for drawing, because it's what gives you your volume. It's what gives you not just something that is a flat graphic shape, but rather something that is volumetric, geometric, and dimensional. And a lot of my early focused lessons for beginners are very line-based, because we want to get comfortable with lines, because it's more about understanding them in the abstract, being able to work with them, and then bringing them back into a fuller process later down the line when we start getting into things like forms or shapes. And when you're working with lines and creating shapes, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And we're trying to create the idea of volume and dimension with lines alone. So adding thickness is definitely a part of that, and creating these different ellipses within the forms that you're already drawing is really helpful, just so that you can always have that super artist power of X-ray vision, getting into a mindset where, okay, I can see through this object. I understand that it has mass to it, and I want my viewers to be able to see that as well, even if I'm not drawing these lines all the way through. So after you're getting used to all these round shapes, you can start to apply them to more organic forms later as you get more comfortable with this type of drawing. For example, a lot of organic shapes such as people/figures or animals, or even certain man-made round forms like drawing the coins could help you to draw tires, car tires, or buttons, or coins, actual coins. It's really about just getting a really good understanding of these simplified shapes, playing around a little bit, even if you're not going to keep the sketch or keep it on the page. And in this case, it was just about an 18-minute practice session for me, a great warm-up before I went and did some other drawing that is not beginner based and thus not in the video. But you can always go back to the video before this one. I'll have a link to it at the end of the video here that will show you other ways that you can start to practice some easy drawings for beginners just to get yourself warmed up, get yourself used to drawing certain shapes, and moving forward with things like the courses on the beginnerdrawingcourse.com, for example. It just makes it really easy to prepare yourself for more lessons, more complex kind of forms that we'll be getting into, like the half dome shape that you're seeing here, which is something that I repeat a couple different times as I was drawing through it, trying to find the great arcs and the great circles within that form as well, which is just a fancy way of saying that we're just dividing the form up and kind of reimagining the different parts that it's composed of. Because you can draw many geometric lines through these forms and it will create a sense of depth, which is something we always strive for. Another thing that you can get used to practicing is to find the center of any geometric object or shape, and the subdivisions that run through that center will be helpful. Again, these drawings are fairly easy to do and they will always help you either warm up or get used to shapes like these, so that when you're actually drawing them in a full illustration, or when you're designing a character, or when you're creating new concepts and other designs, you won't have to struggle so much with the technical element of it of, oh, I can't draw this shape. It'll just be, okay, well, I want the hot air balloon or the Zeppelin to be designed like this, and so I know I can draw this shape. For example, you can look at those balloons on the left and say, I want to draw a whole bunch of airships, and I want them to be based on a balloon design. So there's lots of different rounded shapes, because the rounded shapes are going to hold the air of that specific balloon design very well, and then you can use some of those other shape drawing videos to go ahead and figure out some of the other shapes, like the actual part that holds the people, the fuselage, or just getting into the design mind as opposed to just the abstract kind of practice mind. And here I'm showcasing a demo of how not to draw a can or a cylinder. It's very skewed, it's very irregular, and that's just going to cause a lot of perspective issues. It's going to cause a lot of design issues. And it's not that it's a bad shape necessarily, it's more just that it's not the shape that you want it to be. It's not the shape that you would intend it to be. So in this case, it looked very flat because the ellipses were weak, meaning that the top plane and the bottom plane were not as dimensional and not as circular as they should have been. They were much more elliptical. So that's pretty much it for this video. It was just a page of practice. I wanted to follow up with some round shapes because we were missing some of them in the previous Easy Drawings for Beginners video. If you want, you can always check out the beginnerdrawingcourse.com for, obviously the beginner drawing course itself. There's an 8-week edition, a 12-week edition, and a 16-week edition, depending on how long you want to level up, how far you want to go into intermediate drawing territory, and if you want to draw some characters, there's a course for that there as well. Thank you for watching. Feel free to thumbs up, share the video, whatever you like. If you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell, that's rad too, because I've got more videos coming, more exercises, more good stuff. I'm Taylor Payton, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and happy drawing.